Gotta have some. Oh, I went live already? Man, this crazy new phone. Okay, that should be interesting. Alright, well, we got coffee, we're rolling. Just a quick little check-in. Alright, wow. So, I'll give some time for some people to get into the room. We're going to do a little bit of rolling and a little bit of chatting. Had to get coffee, stop for a little break. Man, I did not expect this. This is wild. This is so fast, this live button. Man, I'm gonna leave the radio off, so I'll give you guys a bit to get in here, and I'll give you a heads up on what's going on with my truck. I had to put it in a shop. You know, the other day I got it going, and I told you that was step 2. Step 1 would be changing out the filter. Step 2 would be to get any fuel that's in the water separator so I could drive it rather than have it towed. It's one of those things, though, sometimes you still got to put it in the shop. So, got the injector cups, is what it was, that I had to get changed out. And I got them to run a overhead. And I don't have a clue how this phone really works with this live. It's all different. I don't know how to describe it. It didn't have a button. It's like a different kind of YouTube app also. And so I'm on my way to get my truck. They say it's done at the shop. I got a different rental this time. This is a Nissan. I'll show you before I get out of it, but this is a Nissan car. So I'm not exactly trucking, but I'm gonna take you with me. It's kind of part of it. Let's see. Unavailable. Okay, yeah. So, alright. So I got the truck so that I didn't have to have a record, but I wound up putting it in the shop anyways. It's all kind of confusing. The truck is now ready to be picked up, but I'm gonna have to sign for it, get them to unpick me up with the rental car, and I'm gonna have to test it. I'm sure it's fine. Before, when they did an overhead the first time, it had kind of a lope to it, almost like you had, almost like a racing cam, a little bit of a lope. The guy did it not perfect. They're saying here that they did it perfect, so if it's running smoother, that'll be great, because anybody knows with an engine with a lope, if it's shaking at all, you're not going to be able to get much rest in it. And it was starting to become like I said, a nuisance. When you don't have to idle it, or if you're using a bunk heater, it's no big deal. But if a truck has any kind of an engine problem at all, you can't run sleeper berth that well in a truck like that. You know, so just like some people don't want to ride in front of a reefer unit, it's loud because they're not used to it. I'm not used to it. I hadn't been in a long time, so I kind of gave up on that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of like that. So like I said, what I'm doing is I'm wanting the smoothest engine idle I can get out of it, and I think that everything's gonna be fine with it. Let's see, turn this on and set the cruise. Now that's nice. So what I had them do incrementally, so that you know, when you have injector cups go out like that, they got to drop the fuel tanks. So I had them drop the fuel tanks, because you don't want any kind of antifreeze in your fuel messing up your injectors, right? which is why I drained what I drained. Okay, and showed how to reprime it on that live the other day. So if you have anything that's got anything to do with either water in your fuel or anything like that, or antifreeze in your fuel, just in case, because it pumps more fuel back into your tanks than you actually ever use anyways, which is why diesel fuel usually doesn't freeze if your engine's running. Okay, but you got to use anti-gel in the winter anyways, just in case, but even for a few seconds it'll freeze right there in the water separator, water fuel separator, or in the fuel filters. It'll gel up. So plus they're metal, they draw, they act like a what is it, where they like fins on an air-cooled engine, they radiate out heat. So the heat transfer on a fuel filter happens fast, especially on the older metal filters, and they allow the diesel fuel to gel. So back to what I was saying is, if you have any kind of situation where you may have water or anything in your fuel, you're going to want to drop your tanks and have them, if you do it yourself, man, it's a pain. I pay a shop to do that, but I know a guy that he takes his tanks down every winter just to polish them. Seriously, after every winter, like in the spring, he'll drop his tanks and completely drain them, polish them all the way around, and put them back on. He's got a show truck. So unless you're trying to do that, have the shop drop your tanks. Also, that's just for injector cups or anything like that, where you can have water in your fuel, because it pumps way more fuel, hot fuel, back into the tank than it ever uses. So at the same time, with injector cups, what I had them do, and what I would recommend, is definitely have them do a flush and fill on the antifreeze, because in the same way that it's letting fuel into the antifreeze into the fuel and water into the fuel, it's also allowing fuel into the antifreeze. It goes both ways. So you want to do a flush and fill on your entire cooling system. Okay, and they got to burp it, takes them a few hours, that kind of stuff. So that's the second thing you want to have them do. Other than drop the tanks, you have them change out the antifreeze in the cooling system. Another thing that I had them do while I was down there was to run the overhead. Well, just in case they knocked something loose that was like some piece of crud or something off of the valve cover, or just oil in general that's caked up or anything, okay, and knocked it down into the journals, down into the oil pan or anywhere in there. After they were done, immediately after they did the overhead, I was about 15,000 miles out on getting an oil change, but I said, go ahead and change it. So I had them change the oil filters and change the oil. So I got a PM, because they had to change the fuel filters again also, because of the antifreeze, the injector cups. So these injector cups were covered under warranty. That was the good part. The rest of it was on me. So you're looking at, if you have it towed, somewhere between $1,400, $1,500, $1,700 plus, which most times you have to have it towed, plus about $1,500, I think, is about my part of it, because it's a few hundred for the oil change, a few hundred for the, I say a few, closer to five, almost 500 for the overhead that they ran, and it should be running like a sewing machine. And I'm going to watch the tag, the tag. It should sit at 1,000 RPMs, but and then the warranty covered the injector cups and everything else. while they were in there, of course, they had to clear code and make that right. And I'm gonna see what's happening with any water intrusion that's messing with my cab controller, my inside switches and lights, because they said that that's not under warranty now, even though it should be. But I'm gonna talk to the guy, and he may even have a used one. But basically, I'm getting all the problems worked out at once, rather than me chasing and trying to get into a speed coat later for the oil change. Everything should be fresh, everything should be good, and the plan is keep the truck, the same truck, for a bit, because I wound up actually waiting on it. I was going to get a new truck Monday, and I looked at it and I was like, you know what, I'm going to see what this is all about and see if this works out for me for another, I don't know, I'm going to give it a cool month and see what the truck does and how I like it, and then maybe either put somebody else in it and then get me a new one, or however I work that out. But anytime you have, like I was showing, that fuel pump and the water droplets next to it, those are injector cups pretty much, and the only thing that will allow antifreeze in the fuel and fuel in the antifreeze is the injector cups. Like a crackhead would be like water in the oil, or even, you could actually have, for water in the oil or antifreeze in the oil, you could have, they have all these coolers, that are plumbed in too. So those mix, like the oil cooler, you got oil in there, but you got antifreeze running through it to keep it cooler. So they're all designed to fail. But these injector cups, they go out, if you want a mileage, I can give you a number, about 400 to 450,000 miles. Look for it to be injector cups. Look to be shut down at that mileage. So if you're buying a truck and it's already at 450,000 miles and it hadn't had it done, you might be the one it breaks on. So, get a record of all the maintenance of a truck that you buy ahead of time. But I mean, this one was brand new when I got it, so I bought it new. So, but I'm just dealing with things, man, and it's been a bit. So I figured I'd do this little check-in, let people know, hey, don't deal me out just yet. Don't think that I've quit the whole trucking thing, because I ain't been on here. I've just been, truck's been in the shop, That was part 3 of the plan, was to see what is going on with it, go ahead and get them to do an oil change and an overhead while it's in there, because I wanted that overhead run. I wanted this thing to run smooth as a sewing machine, that truck. So I'm in it, like I said, I'm in a car right now. I'll show you this one, another Enterprise deal. They're picking me up. Didn't make no sense to sit somewhere for like, a week and a half. Other shops was like, that's how long it would take to get me in. So I've pretty much, I try to get into a shop they can get me in the next day that knows their stuff. So after this, since I had to basically, in the other rental, take everything out of the truck, you got to refit the truck. It was good though to do a refit, to get everything out of it, and especially because you don't need winter chains in the summer, that kind of stuff. Everything that I took out though, I'm just putting in the stuff that I need, and we're gonna see how it goes, especially if it broke down again. But I think I'm good. And they tested it and retested it and all that, and with a fresh oil change, I don't expect to have to do anything to it, but we'll see, because there's a million sensors on the truck. I've got an extra sensor, I've got quite a few things, extra parts. I need to do a video on that, so I apologize for not having done that yet. And like I said, I've really got to find out how this works, this new phone, and get things worked out where I know, because right now I think the setting, I had it set at something like private or something, and I don't know if it's going to be public or how that works. So maybe I won't even have anybody in the room. Maybe I messed up. Maybe, but it's fine, because I'm riding anyways. I can't exactly check the messages all that well, you know. But I'm still in it to win it, and you know, you have to. Sometimes you gotta reshuffle the deck, and if you're with a company that's not. I mean, I'm in a rental car right now that's, you know, it's on me. But if you're at a company, like, they shouldn't leave you somewhere like the Falcon Transports and the, you know, all the other ones leaving truck drivers places. If you're at a shop, they got millions of dollars. They pay for their CEOs to ride around in rental cars. They should be able to help you to get you back and forth, especially if you're, you know, trying to help the situation. Like, rather than you be in a hotel for 7 days, they should be able to get you a rental car to go where you want to go. You should be able to get a rental car and a hotel room, because that's on them. They're taking on the responsibility of you and the truck when you're a company driver. You know, it used to be that they would hand you a credit card, and that was your company credit card if you needed anything. Now, you knew better than to ever use it unless you had a problem, right? But when problems happen, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to get a hotel with it, get a meal with it, something to eat, and rent a car if you need. You know, these companies that are honestly treating their drivers like, okay, right now you're driving, but if it breaks down, you're homeless. That's messed up. And there's a few of them out there that are still trying that mess. And I'll be honest with you, that pisses me off, because I'm trying to help drivers out, and it's like they're giving trucking a bad name. They're going to make people not want to be in a truck. So just know, if you're in a company that's treating you like that, or treating you like you're stupid, or trying to say, oh, well, you know, I know you want that in that truck, but it's not our company policy to spend out any money for this or that. If, you know, it's been some ridiculousness, some of these companies that even I've worked for a long time ago, when I was working for a company, and then when my other truck messed up, I worked for a couple of companies, that what they're doing, they'll, even for something stupid like an O-ring on an airline, they want to tell you, don't touch the truck. And you're sitting there trying to explain to someone who is either just out of high school or just out of college that's taking that job, that's saying, oh, well, you're not supposed to touch the truck, I have to, you know, report this to whatever. Really, you're supposed to have fuses in your truck. For what? So that you can change a fuse and get out of the roadway. It's not for a mechanic to come and you to have fuses for them. You're supposed to be able to work on that truck. So if they're holding you back by telling you, and you're sitting there in the line at a TA because you need an O-ring on a line, or even to change an air hose, and you have tools, that company, leave that company. Seriously. People stop taking mess off, because that's not even, they're not in the interest of you making the maximum amount of miles per day and maximum amount of money per day. They're in the interest of anything but you touch the truck, even if it holds you up 2 days to get into a shop and you make no money that week, or less money, that, you know what I mean, or whatever. That's ridiculous. So, and I know these companies say, oh, we got a minimum that, you know, if you're sitting, but you can make more than that, and you know what your bills are, and what, if you're trying to pay for a car payment and all this kind of stuff. So really, companies like that recognize that that's not, there's no industry standard. So I'm gonna say this, there is zero industry standard right now. There's no standard. It's a whole bunch of different companies that will run over you if they can, and they will give you just enough to keep you going. You got to put your foot down with some of them, but don't think you're going to change that company. You might have to move laterally and go to another company if it's so bad that you can't turn a wrench to change an airline. Stupid stuff that can keep you going and keep you making money and get you, you know, to where you're trying to go, and then, you know, get you done, and then get your off time where you want to be off. So, like I said, it will come a time where we will educate every single driver out there and say, hey, there's better than that. go there for 6 months, get some experience, and then leave that place. You know, like I said, there's a lot of starter companies, but even for them to treat people bad, it's gotten to be really ridiculous. So like I said, I'm good. I'm taking care of myself for the most part. And if you have a company that's not taking care of you, even if you're working for an owner or operator, they really got to be able to, you know, ask them, say, what is the emergency plan if I break down? Can you get me a rental car? Can you get me a hotel? Can you, you know, get the truck fixed? Can you put me in another truck and let me run in the meantime? The guy that got hit by Prime, he was working for a smaller company. You know, he had to sit there and wait. They told him, or what he told me from that day is he called into him what happened, and they said, well, we don't have another truck to put you in, so you're gonna have to wait and not make money as a company driver until that one's fixed through no fault of his own. See, that's no good. I understand a lot of people like to work for smaller companies and this and that, nothing wrong with that, but if they will let you sit for a week if something happens to the truck and you don't make no money, you might as well be an owner operator. You know, do something different. Doesn't matter what it is. So, but yeah, we're all trying to make a living in trucking, and there's 1,000 different ways to do it, and no one way is the correct way. What the correct way is what makes you how much money you need by Friday. And hopefully they're not ripping you off just because you don't need much money. So just because you live in a poor area, or what they would call a lower income area, I mean, they take advantage of people. Honestly, they take advantage. These companies, especially in Louisiana, I've been there. I've seen it. Man, it's unreal. So, got a friend of mine even running tankers, and they will rip you off. So, yeah, I think I've seen my fill of how they do, you know, how they do people wrong. But I'm just going to get my ride. I didn't mean to go into too much of a rant, and I thought I would do this quick little update that I'm good. And keep in mind, if you have an issue with injector cups, that there's a lot more to it than just having those changed out. They got to change the antifreeze. That's expensive. They have to. I think that's about 500 of it or something like that. And then if you're having an overhead run or need to have one, it's best to go ahead while it's in the shop, while you got it in front of the mechanic. Tell them to do that too. You know, even if it takes 2 mechanics to put 2 of them on it, and then get the oil change right after that. So I'm gonna get off this thing, and y'all stay safe. Just figured I would do this because, man, it's been like a week and a half, a couple weeks now. I hadn't had time. I've been kind of busy taking care of stuff, and I had to do a refit. So everybody stay safe. I'm out.